Good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you may be, or good evening, or good night. This is Jen at Jen's Arty Inclinations, a place to create, share and play.
Hello everyone, I'm back with the PPG Choose 6 Challenge. We are now in week 9. This is the Playing with Paper and Glue Facebook group. They're the ones who host it. And the prompts this week are ticket, game or playing card, washi tape, key or keyhole, clock and mushroom. So I was very excited because I found this clock that actually had a little key in it. I must confess I did have some extras just in case, and I'm glad I did because it was just too heavy in the end. So, you know, that's what creativity is all about, isn't it? That we just keep creating and we keep finding, you know, different things to create with. I love that little jumbo card you saw in the beginning. Oh, they're my mushrooms. So I'm using doodled mushrooms that I did. I did some painted blotches and then did some doodles over them. And yes, that is the playing card. It's one of those jumbo playing cards. And you saw at the beginning, I just used gesso to go over that and to, you know, knock it back a little bit, knock back the colour and give it a bit of roughness. And that way I knew I'd be able to ink over it. We all know how much I love my inking. Oh dear. This is pumice stone, I believe. I always forget to tell you what the different things are. Everybody else is always so good. They give you the measurements of what they're using. They give you all the products and the product names. And I don't know, I think I just changed my mind so much while I'm doing it that it's really, really hard to keep a track. But, you know, occasionally I'll remember everyone. I will. Anyhow, see how putting the gesso on has just really helped it soak up that colour, which is fabulous fun. All right. Now, as you can see, this is very, very complicated here. I'm cutting out of shape. You know what? For me, the last few weeks, this is actually quite complicated. My head is full to bursting, or I think it maybe burst quite a while ago. It is just stuffed full up there, folks. But that's all right. We'll come back. Now, you'll probably hear a bit of a storm in the background. Oh, of course, this was the hardest part of the decision, wasn't it? Deciding which doodled mushroom I would use. So I purposely made the watercolours I used for those blobs, purposely made them a bit muddy so that, you know, they had that mushroom feel. And of course, I love those 2 long tickets, but I couldn't work out where to put the mushroom. In the end, I worked out that it would actually sit quite nicely on that as a bit of a cluster. So that was nice. Just deciding here, you know, which washi tape I shall use today. And isn't it funny how we tend to go back to the same ones over and over and over? This is where I realised that, you know, I love those big ones, but they're probably better on my book covers. I really need to use the small one because it's not as heavy and it's not going to weigh it down. I went through every key to work out which one, and I haven't bored you with that here, but I then ended up going back to the first one that I chose that you saw there, which is often the case, isn't it? I find it is anyway. Sometimes that first instinct, I think, is the best thing for us. So I just popped a little rivet in it, and really the only reason I'm doing that is so that I can attach my clock and my key. And I'm thinking at this point in my head, it should be a little bit of a dangle, maybe with some string, not sure, maybe some lace, not sure, maybe something else. Where will that mushroom go? You know, there's very complex things going through my head. But I'm really thrilled with how this turned out. You'll see in the end, and you'll even see the part where I really messed it up completely. I did manage to save it, that's okay. And here I'm deciding that we need so much glue on this mushroom that I have to wipe it all up. But that's okay. This isn't the bit that I wrecked. That comes later. You just wait. All right, what was next? Yes, the washi tape. I really had no idea. I just had to get it down there somewhere. And then it wasn't until after I finally got it down, I remembered what I'd intended was to put the washi tape under the rivet, so do the hole through the washi tape. And look, I didn't do that, but you know what? It still looks fine. It looks fine. It's amazing, isn't it? We have all these plans and then happy accidents, we end up doing something just slightly different than we planned, and it still works out because that's what creativity is. Now, what I did was, just to give it a little bit of a tag feel, I popped a little piece of washi tape on the top just as a tag. So here I'm having a think and I'm going, I want to use more washi tape because they just look so inviting. That is seriously what was going through my head. So I found a way to use them, and okay, that's the truth. That's why I did the tag, because I wanted to just keep using my washi tapes. And I have all those lovely washi tapes and, loads and loads and loads. By the way that I've got those on the string, I am sure that was Junk Journalin' Jen who gave me that tip, which I thought was fabulous because you can just pull them off at any point. And yeah, lots of fun, especially if you're tied in a bow or something, then you can just take your washi tape off if you need it. But yeah, storage is so much easier. So, and I thought it might look really messy, but actually it looks a lot cleaner than just not being put away like it was before. All right. I amuse myself. So, as you can see, in the end, I decided lace. And I got a lovely big reel of this lace, so it works out really, really well. And I must have tied this half a dozen different ways before I worked out, finally, how I would make it work. Everything just seemed to take longer with this. However, it was a really easy project. And I loved the prompts that you drew this week, Lynn. I know that you do them at random. I know that we can choose our own and make it easier or harder on ourselves. However, the prompts you chose this week, they were so much fun, and I'd wanted to play with my playing cards for ages. I've got so many of them in so many different styles. And, this is a lovely piece of lace ribbon that my girlfriend gave me. It's wonderful. I get all sorts of goodies from my beautiful friend Kat. And at first I had them together, like on a bit of a loop. And then I worked out that actually they would be better just tied down. So sort of like a little bit of a chain coming down, if you can see what I mean. I mean, if you're looking at the screen, it probably makes more sense than my rambling words. However... you might not be. All right, I am really amusing myself tonight, aren't I? Okay, then that was what I ended up with. So I put the ribbon through that piece of lace and that managed to attach that. And then I simply just tied in the velvet piece behind it. And it's not long now until you see when I actually muck all this up. Like I say, I did save it. It's okay. No, well, actually, ribbons were harmed in the making of this. However, they were they were also salvaged. So I feel like that's an important part, of our processes, isn't it? And, that's what we're doing. We're reviving things and giving them new life and so forth. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty happy. I got distracted there for a moment. I have a giggling child beside me here thinking that I am being hilarious talking to myself. So how do you know I'm not talking to you, little matey, hey? Anyway, all right, so I feel like that's like a little bit of a tassel or a little bit of a dangle, which I just love. So then I thought, well, the back looks a little bit lonely, don't you think? So I had this lovely piece of stamped brown paper, and I decided that I could put that on the back, and then voila, we have a journaling spot. And it's always fun to find another journaling spot. Well, I think it is. And, I do actually use a lot of the notebooks myself. I've started to lately, and I pop them in my handbag, and it's so much nicer writing, something boring like your banknote or your shopping list or something else in just a beautiful book full of texture and stuff that you've created yourself. And, yeah, really, really lovely. So I understand why people buy these now. Alrighty, nothing terribly rocket science here. Just pasting it down, and I'm giving it just that little bit of taped edge to give it that feel. And just to finish it off, in just a sec you'll see, I decided I'd just pop that same lace down the side of this on the back, and it really did just give it that teeny finishing touch. And, oh, yes, before I did that, I stamped some little lines on it. I love this little stamp. It's so perfect for little notelets, but that just helps give an indication that it is a place for notes. So if you're writing the notes, you wouldn't have to stay on those lines. Yeah, there you go. So here I am snipping it down. Of course, I'm not measuring, so I end up wasting a bit and having to snip it off at the bottom here. However, you'll see in a moment, that becomes a very useful piece. And in fact, I need to get even more lace. So I glued it down. So it's been quite fun lately. I've really enjoyed just getting out some of my journals and doing some pages or pockets, you know, embellishing them up and just having fun. It has been a very busy time in this house here. And so creating and crafting, I just find it so good to clear my head. I know it doesn't sound like my head's very clear, the way that I'm rambling on. However, yeah, it's a treasure. Now, this is one of the books that, you know, I'm in the middle and in the process of going through and working out. I haven't finished the cover yet. So I went through some of the pockets that I had stashed. I did a bit of a mass make at one point. And I decided this pocket was perfect because it said family. And the reason that's perfect is because the Joker card kind of reminds me of the circus, and there's kind of a big family connection to circus. So it reminds me of my auntie, and yeah. Once I pasted this down, see what I did? I did it upside down. So my own book, and I hadn't worked it out. But I went, you know what? That's okay. It'll just add to the rustic nature of this journal for myself. So I went back through, I made sure that it was the right way up, and I had to glue it all up and stick it down again. So, oh dear, it was just constantly backwards and forwards and oops, did that and oops, forgot that. So, and here you go. We have a pupil-free day here tomorrow, although my lad was home today as well because he wasn't well, and that's never good. So there you go. I popped it in a little pocket and I made another little notelet for the front, and I looked at that and I went, that's a bit plain. So I grabbed my coffee, and because I didn't want, you know, to spend a lot of time for it drying, I just used a tissue, and it still coloured it up. So that was really good. And yeah, got the coffee across it, and I think I gave it a quick blast with the heat dryer, you know, just the craft heat dryer, but it really didn't need a lot. And the lovely thing is, when I put the lid down, it sploshed on the other index card that I had, and so then I got some lovely splotches on that one, and I couldn't believe how quickly they worked. And just with the end, that one ended up being a slightly lighter card, but even with the end of the tissue, there was still heaps of coffee on that to colour it up. So I put a little bit of dark colour around the edges, a little bit of ink just to give it a bit of definition. We know how I love definition. And yeah, it fit perfectly in the front there, and it didn't overshadow the card behind, which I was sort of trying to feature, and popped a little bit of ribbon to match the other one. So now I have my first little set in this journal that I'm starting to put together. It's just a little soft cover one, sort of like that travel style. I'm just having a, you know, go at working out a different way to attach it on the front. What do you call it? A different closure. Ah, yeah. Here's where I wrecked it. I'm like, oh, that's good. That's staying and sitting there properly. And then I went, hang on. What happened? Yes, I melted the ribbon. I didn't even realise that would melt, but obviously that's some kind of a synthetic ribbon. So I had to then put other ribbons on top to make sure that they didn't fall apart, and it ended up actually looking cool because there was all this extra fluff and faffle without being too high, like it wouldn't actually make the journal too thick. So that was good. Got everything, the tickets, the mushroom, the card, the washi tape, and all together in there. Really happy. So please go and watch Lynn's and watch Kylie's card craft. Hers will be up too. They are very talented ladies. They're nowhere near as rustic and messy as me, so you'll enjoy it. So if you haven't already, come and join our Facebook group, Playing with Paper and Glue. Lots of fun, great crowd in there. Oh, and join the challenge. You will love it. It's lots of fun. I'd love it if you could leave me a comment below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed what you saw today. And of course, please subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you next time. And in the meantime, keep creating. Enjoy!